Oh, day, Liberia this, Liberia that. Me, pa, I will not give up on Liberia. I will keep on talking and fighting hard to make Liberia a better place. I say, Flomo, what happened you talking all by yourself? Pajon, I am tired. I am tired of the people who can be saying Liberia can't change, so they finish giving up on Liberia. Liberia is all of our country, so we must come together and elect the best person to lead Liberia to a better place. So I am encouraging you and every other person to listen to the program Unapologetic on Sky FM 107.1 and Sky TV Channel 6 every first and last Saturday at 2 p.m. Liberian time and 10 a.m. American time. Join Duke and his team of panelists as they find ways to solve Liberia's problem. Thank you, Flomo. I'm on my way. Na. Oh, day, Liberia this, Liberia that. Me, pa, I will not give up on Liberia. I will keep on talking and fighting hard to make Liberia a better place. I say, Flomo, what happened you talking all by yourself? Pajon, I am tired. I am tired of the people who can be saying Liberia can't change, so they finish giving up on Liberia. Liberia is all of our country, so we must come together and elect the best person to lead Liberia to a better place. So I am encouraging you and every other person to listen to the program Unapologetic on Sky FM 107.1 and Sky TV Channel 6 every first and last Saturday at 2 p.m. Liberian time and 10 a.m. American time. Join Duke and his team of panelists as they find ways to solve Liberia's problem. Thank you, Flomo. I'm on my way. Na. Oh, day, Liberia this, Liberia that. Me, pa, I will not give up on Liberia. I will keep on talking and fighting hard to make Liberia a better place. I say, Flomo, what happened you talking all by yourself? Pajon, I am tired. I am tired of the people who can be saying Liberia can't change, so they finish giving up on Liberia. Liberia is all of our country, so we must come together and elect the best person to lead Liberia to a better place. So I am encouraging you and every other person to listen to the program Unapologetic on Sky FM 107.1 and Sky TV Channel 6 every first and last Saturday at 2 p.m. Liberian time and 10 a.m. American time. Join Duke and his team of panelists as they find ways to solve Liberia's problem. Thank you, Flomo. I'm on my way. Na. Oh, day, Liberia this, Liberia that. Me, pa, I will not give up on Liberia. Oh. I will keep on talking and fighting hard to make Liberia a better place. I say, Flomo, what happened you talking all by yourself? Pajon, I am tired. Oh. I am tired of the people who can be saying Liberia can't change. So they finish giving up on Liberia. Liberia is all of our country. So we must come together and elect the best person to lead Liberia to a better place. So I am encouraging you and every other person to listen to the program Unapologetic on Sky FM 107.1 and Sky TV Channel 6 every first and last Saturday at 2 p.m. Liberian time and 10 a.m. American time. Join Duke and his team of panelists as they find ways to solve Liberia's problem. Thank you, yeah, Flomo. I'm on my way. Nah, 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 nah.
Saka Joe, the Zogo rap boy, Bongo Grace, Alice,
Skinny but I cause trouble.
Once upon a time, now I never you are living Westwood. You used to go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy Duke Strider JJ. We are back on the airwaves with another episode of Unapologetic, and I'm telling you, today is gonna be pretty straightforward. Expect a lot of passion. You know your man Pete's gonna be waiting in the back end. Today we have a solid program for you on Unapologetic. And while you're waiting to join us, go ahead and share the link. I want to welcome Jesse Farmer, Miata Dekina, see Byron Brown, and all of you. I want to say appreciate you for following us. We're on Sky 107.1. My name is Duke. We're here for you. We'll be connecting with studio shortly and bringing our panelists on. And just bear with us for a few minutes here as we go ahead and bring in commercials so we can get ready for ya.
Once upon a time, the Zogo used to be chronic. Samoking Baba way. My wristwrapper, I lose it. My phone used to be dusty. And all butcher to tape. I said I wear my teeth. I want time I can.
Oh, day, Liberia this, Liberia that. Me, pa, I will not give up on Liberia. Oh. I will keep on talking and fighting hard to make Liberia a better place. I say, Flomo, what happened you talking all by yourself? Pajon, I am tired. Oh. I am tired of the people who can be saying Liberia can't change. So they finish giving up on Liberia.
partisans, wave your flare. Wave your flare. Elle est Zambi, come wave your flare. Wave your flare. Prince on APC, wave your flare. Wave your flare. Jeremiah Slaughter, wave your flare. Wave your flare. Papa, we will win, oh. We will win, oh. I say we will win, oh. We will win, oh. You can do it for us, for us, for us. You will go there for us, for us, for us. You can do it for us, for us, for us. You will go there for us, for us, for us. You can do it, yeah. You will do it, oh. You can do it, yeah. You can go there for us. That's the reason we are. The masses crying, but then are you we want? The developmental promise, I said, are you we want? No, are you we want? So mama, papa, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, you're gonna do it. Mama, papa, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, you're gonna do it. Oh, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You will go there for us. For good electricity, you will go there for us. For good hospital, you will go there for us. For youth empowerment, you will go there for us. For good market road, you will go there for us. For good electricity, you will go there for us. ANC partisans, wave your flare. Wave your flare. Elle est Zambi, come wave your flare. Wave your flare. Prince on APC, wave your flare. Wave your flare. Jeremiah Slaughter, wave your flare. Wave your flare. Papa, we will win, oh. We will win, oh. I say we will win, oh.
Listen. You know, every time we play this theme song, you know, it becomes festive for me, and I get all fired up and ready to go. I'm excited. You can feel the adrenaline pumping, and you can definitely see the passion in me. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Duke Estrada JJ. And you know what? Today we're on Unapologetic. Thanks to our partner, Sky107, the best radio station in the Republic of Liberia. And listening, ladies and gentlemen, I can say much of how excited I am today. You know, let me tell you why. You know, first and foremost, I see Wante Clark, one of my biggest supporters. Wante, how are you? Our biggest supporter. You know, Mr. Cummings did a brilliant job on SKTV today. And what we're up here to do today on this edition of Unapologetic on Sky 107.1 is to be able to communicate, right? Go over some of the things that we discussed. Now, I must admit, though, there were a lot of contents to cover, and it's a lot of production. And so we're able to just minimize things. But some of the things we'll talk about casually so you can get a feel. But where we need to add more light and shine more light and say more things, we're going to do that. I don't want to bore you with talking. I want to bring my crew on board so we can discuss here today. And let me bring the team because the team's waiting. We are excited. We are getting ready. We're fired up and ready to go. Listing Pete, Gabriel. Okay, Dolacat is actually on board now. My man, how you doing? How
Go
everybody
ahead.
doing today? Y'all
Go ahead,
fired up?
Gabe. Go ahead, Gabe. Let's start
Gabriel,
it.
listening. I'm so excited to have back on set the man Gabriel. And apparently, we told you guys on the show what happened. You know, and Gabriel, welcome back. They're happy to see you as well, my brother. I want you to start, man. How are you today?
No, thank you guys, and I do thank you, Jonathan. I think this is our first time meeting, Pete. First of all, I want to say thank you guys for holding this down while I was on, a family sabbatical. But and I appreciate all of you guys that reach out to me. I really do. I really do appreciate it. That actually meant a lot to me. But again, most importantly, thank you guys for holding this thing down. I think we all have a responsibility here, and we want to make sure that we carry out that responsibility. Whether somebody's, dropping or we're adding somebody else, guess what? The mission is still going on. So I appreciate you guys holding this down while I was away. But today, as you guys pointed out, we have something important to talk about. I'm excited to be back. Um, I look forward to a healthy discussion, and I'm glad to be here to continue to add my voice to this message up to 2023. So
Listening.
Ale.
You know. Look, want to saying welcome back. Everybody's there. Meta Dakina is actually on the low leave of absence today. She's actually in Minnesota attending a family event. And listening, our people who have family issues will understand they'll be here. But Gabriel, you know how it is. All love from the family, man. It's great to have you back.
Thank you.
Pete,
Thank you.
what it do, man? How's it going?
What it do? What it do, brother?
What it do? What it do?
It's always good to be here and to talk to our people, to have a conversation about our country and from our perspective, a different perspective, and analyze and synthesize what we believe is going on, what's best for our country. I'm just humbled to be in the presence of the people that I'm in the presence with now, keeping company with the likes of Doloket, who is a pillar in Liberia's politics and is going to play a major role in the direction, the trajectory in which an entire nation heads. How children is going to be rescued from this predicament that they have been put in for generations and generations, and just to have a man who has sacrificed so much that no one gets to see and hear about. I'm humbled by that. And Gabriel, the stuff that he's going through with his family right now, with what happened to his dad. Big hearts, man. You, Duke, all the work that goes in behind closed doors. To me, the wealth of a man, the worth of a man, to me, is what he's willing to sacrifice for other people. So for you guys to be so altruistic with your time and so committed to helping other people when you don't have to do it, you could be selfish, like so many people would know. It just warms my heart. So I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of this conversation about our country. And we're
Thank
going.
you, Pete.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Doloke, the pillar of Liberian politics, the brain of the ANC. My brother, it's great to have you on, man. How's it going? Doloke, you hearing? Okay, I think Jonathan, you can hear us?
I think he's muted. There's a
Is
delay.
he? He's a popular
Yeah.
delayer. So, all right, we'll get back to Doloke once we, have some kind of signal for him. But gentlemen, listen, we have a few things to discuss today. Yes, I got you now. We got you now. How are you doing?
Thank you.
That's absolutely.
Again,
That's
I
absolutely.
feel so
So,
good, and I feel so humbled being on your platform. I mean, to share thoughts on you.
absolutely, Doloke. It's always, yeah, man. It's all about Liberia. We're here for Liberia, and we're here to get things started. Fellows, let me just roll the ball.
A lot of the people who are quote unquote saying, you only hear we are Boka names tend to be the United Party people or the people who are opposed to me. Okay. Look, we've done our own polling and we keep it confidential, of course, but we know that statement is not true. Do we have work to do to continue to make our case? Absolutely. But the three leading candidates today for the presidency in Liberia is Alexander Cummings, Joseph Boakai, and George Weah. So just to debunk that saying or that statement in quotes. The next thing I will say to you and how I answer this question is I don't plan for failure. I don't plan to come in second. And I will say to all of you all are relatively young, at least compared to me, with bright futures ahead of you. When you go into something, before you even start, you start planning for plan B. You will end up with plan C. You will end up third. No, I'm serious. I'm serious in life. True. If you go into a business proposition or you want to start an NGO or you want to run for office, and even before you start, you already see what happens if I don't win. You will not win.
Listen, that was the man ABC today on SKTV. Clearly, we're going back into this base narrative, this illusion that certain people thinks that as you heard him there. But we know the truth, and we know exactly why we're here to say the truth. So we're back again with the whole base narrative, And before I go there, I want to play this too, so we can just have something to start with on the first part of this episode.
Critics have said, they've used the word, you are desperate to be president. So you are meeting with all these leaders, you are taking all these pictures and posting it, and you go into this BB summit and going traveling all around the world. And some of your critics from the CDC have said you've been lobbying for sanction on the government and so forth. But here is my question to you. How does your moving around, your connection, your relationship benefit my Oma in Popala, benefit my papa all the way in Ban, benefits somebody all the way in Magibi County or River Cess? How does it impact the common Liberian man, as we would say, or woman? What do you say?
My interaction with political leaders, business people around the world will benefit Liberia when the Liberian people choose me to serve them as their leader. Because we'll need to hit the ground running. We'll need to make sure those relationships are rekindled and new ones are established. Because we don't have time, Sekou, Telvi, Steve, Liberia is going backwards every day. I keep saying the world is in the 21st century and we are in the 19th century. And so these relationships, these meetings, so that people know that they're responsible Liberians. They're Liberians who understand how the world works, who understand the social, economic, political dynamics of the world, how the economies of the world work.
The Liberians who need to know there are good people around, there are good leaders, there are people who can draft the narrative and understand how a global economy works, how we can drive results, and how we can use those relationships we're building now for the future. Gabriel, I want to go with you.
No, thank you. I think again, as I said, it's good to be back here. The first clip that you actually shared, right, was a teaching moment for the panelists, right? Even for I think Telvin was probably the most the toughest panelist on there, right? But that his statement that he actually gave made her agreed with him, right? What I think what he's referring to here is that everything that we've been saying here, that we are in an economic abyss, meaning that we get to a level where we think we've hit the baseline, where we think, okay, this is the bottom, we can only go up from there, right? And then something else comes up, and then we headed back to the bottom, where he said, hey, we're the rest of the world is advancing, but it seems like Liberia is only going backwards, right? And what is his response to that? If you do elect me as your leader, the first thing he talked about is restoring confidence, right? We will reestablish all of those relationships, rekindle them, and build new ones, right? That is to say, I'm going to do the right things to restore confidence. That confidence will cause us to establish our leadership in the world, whatever was left of it, right? And establish new ones, right? So from a fundamental standpoint, this is somebody, I always say this thing, we as Liberian, we are passive. In as much that might be a good thing in terms of somebody saying this person is nice, Liberian people are nice. Passiveness in any corporate world, if you even talk to Mr. Cummings, he will tell you that it doesn't get you anywhere in terms of achieving your goals. It doesn't get you anywhere, right? So that's why the people that call him desperate, I don't think those people understand how to function or to get anywhere in corporate level. If you want to be somewhere where you want, like, to get to the level that he get to, you cannot get to anywhere unless you're very aggressive to say, I set my sight on this goal, I'm gonna go for it. There's no plan A. I think he alluded to that. There's no plan B or plan C, right? I'm going after the presidency because I know that's where I can make the biggest impact. But the essence of that message is that he's going to restore leadership. Restore confidence in terms of the ranks of the leadership. Right. So I want to leave it on there.
You're great. You're great. And that's what I say. You have to have this level of ambition. You got to aggressively pursue your goals. And that's what Mrs. Cummings is trying to do. Pete.
Right.
So to speak to piggyback off what Gabriel just said, a couple of things came to mind, right? When Mr. Cummings said, you guys are relatively young folks.
Mm-hmm.
This is in the West, us that got to leave home a little bit and come here and learn these people culture. There's something that people in the hood call game. Okay, he just dropped a whole bunch of game on you for
Sir.
2 cents. All right, whole bunch of games that should be $9.99. He
Yeah.
gave it to you for two. He gave it to you for free.
I see what you did with that Jay-Z.
Yeah. So here's what Cummings told you. Ambition matters. Ambition matters, right?
Yep.
You don't look around and see a lot of Liberians, a lot of Africans who were able to rise up in corporate America the way he did. That takes so much knowledge, tenacity, skills, grit. It takes a lot. Us that have left the country, us that live here, who try to move up in corporate. I'm still trying to do it in academia. It is Gabriel, Duke, you guys work for those financial institutions. You know how hard it is. Go try to be a regional manager. Go try to be a national coordinator. You know how difficult it is with this accent that we have. Yeah, Liberian people hear American accent. The American hear straight African accent in our mouths, right? Off that, you're already written off by a lot of people. For him to have done what he just did, and he just told you how he did it.
Yeah.
I set my sight on something and I don't see failure. I don't see number two. I don't see what
Exactly.
ifs.
Yeah.
This is the type of leader we need, right? This is the type of leader we need. We need someone who's to say, no, we are going to create 100,000 jobs. What I do for a living is part of that, right? You either win or you get fired. Not too many jobs are like that. They love you. Oh, but this person got hurt and, my other player, okay, that's fine. You're still fired. Okay? We understand the problems, but you're fired. Mr. Cummings comes from that background. Those of us who try to rise up in these people's country, all right, us that left home and we're so lucky to leave and became the dream, the Liberian dream that so many of us prayed for. And people on the panel, we're so lucky to have come here. The man's telling you how he did it. I did it without thinking about the options of what ifs. Never did the what ifs, right? Mr. Cummings said, I set my sight on it, and that's who we want leading our children.
Right.
If we say our WAC score is going to go from 15%, 20% to 80%, it's just about how do we get it done, not if we get it done. Is how do we get it? It's going to happen. If we say we're going to create this many jobs, we're going to create these many doctors, it's going to happen. If we're going to build these many STEM schools, it's going to happen. It's not, what if we don't know?
Yep.
How is about how we're going to do it. That's what we need in a leader. And
That's that part of intentional leadership, brilliantly or saliently stated by both Gabriel and Peter as well. And Dolaket, I want to quickly move on to you on that particular clip. What do you think about in terms of that message? From Mr. Cummings, you've been around him, especially in the rugged terrain, right? Understanding his leadership style and seeing all that he has stated, his advice to young people, that even when there's been criticism that a lot of the moves that he's making, right, is to be able to put sanctions on the country. When you hear something like this from Mr. Cummings, especially during that particular interview, what do you make of that? I think we're on a low delay.
Thank you, Duke.
He got it.
Yes.
Yes, I think it did. But
you can go ahead.
Point. And that point is that these connections are meant to hit the ground running, because he also mentioned that Liberia is in the 19th century and the rest of the world is in the 21st century. So looking at the current government that has not been fully invited by the government of the model of democracy, taking into account that this autocratic government led by President Weah and his gang of crooks and cronies that have not been able to attract any investment, you can wish all you wish for being a good president, like Mr. Cummings would normally say, and be off opportunity. And if you don't do these connections with political leaders, global icons, with entrepreneurs who have built their life over a period of time. Obviously, you are only seeking the presidency like we are, and went after it, and you have absolutely no agenda. You not know how to, and you have the same democratic elements around you. But when you start to connect with people of values, people who have done business and have been successful in governance and can contribute.
Yeah.
When you connect with them, as soon as 2004 comes, you will have the inauguration being what by level-headed people who will be identified into different terrains, how to deploy different resources in order to get the real value of money, and also provide the service that the Liberian people need to move forward. That's how you go about this business.
And you're right, Dolak had about a salient point. And by
that's
the
how I
way,
see it from my end.
yes, but at that leadership conference that Mr. Cummings attended, there was Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine is one of the most popular revolutionary and young upcoming, rising star in African politics. There are other global leaders there, right? And you said it there. One of the backlash, some of the things that we stated about the current way administration, that they didn't have a plan going in. And so when they got there, we didn't expect much. You don't see much of attraction in terms of leadership. Guess what? Mr. Cummings telling you he's preparing for his presidency. I don't want to come in and make excuses. I want to build the necessary relationships that on day one, I'll be able to reach to those people and say, you know what? We have a responsible government, and here's what we're going to do. Gentlemen, we got a lot to cover. Let me play this.
What happened in Lofa County, we saw it. Unity Party was defeated. Some people were jubilating from the opposition. Some people were not so happy. But overall, what message does they send as to what really transpired in Liberia, in Lofa County, as far as opposition
There's
is
two
concerned?
messages. One is that we in the opposition have to find a way to work together. We gotta define what that means, because together we're stronger, and that's why the CPP won, and the Unity Party did not win. But the other message, Sekou and Telvi, is that this idea of stronghold of constituencies has been debunked. When people use the US as an example, what they miss, the distinction they miss is that the Democratic stronghold in this country, or the Republican, they are to the institution, not to the individual. Very important distinction. So no matter who is on the Democratic ticket or on the Republican ticket, the Republican will win Texas, whether it's George Bush, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's whoever. In California, no matter who is head of the Democratic ticket, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, they will win California. It's the institution, not the individual. In Liberia, we tend to think about constitution around individuals, something I'm trying to redefine. And that's why I say my constituents are the young people of Liberia, are the women of Liberia, because they cut across geography. They cut across tribe. And the idea that an individual has a constituency, I think Lofa has debunked that. And people are not static.
And listen, fellas. We're back in that terrain. And this is what I like about ABC. He's very calm, calculative. He's a practical leader. And he provides leadership, but he also teaches people exactly what's going on. So let's go into this thing. We're back into Lofa. A lot of things he said there. Number one, he talked about two important things when Sekou asked him about the lessons from Lofa County. As you all know, the recent election wherein the Unity Party, the so-called Numbers Party, were a bunch of individuals who have not done the best in driving the narrative. I mean, what did you expect in Lo-Fi when you have a renowned criminal in Henry Costa who's stolen from everybody in government? You have a Mo Ali who's a complete government bone, irresponsible. When you have individuals in that party who have nothing to offer, this is what you see. But here's something Mr. Cummings said. Number one, he provided leadership and he said somewhere in the opposition, we need to find a way to work. And that means Joseph Boyka needs to retire, and those who really love Liberia needs to get on the ABC Express and help him to see how this can move the country forward. But importantly, of essence here, he says something profound. He said, look, this narrative about base, about thinking that you have the votes and you're the one that entitled to the leadership, Lo-Fi County finally debunked it. It is out of the picture now, right? And he said, guess what? When I was head of the CPP, we won. When Unity Party attempted to win in Lo-Fi County, they lost. These things should be about building institutions as opposed to building individuals. And in the case of Lo-Fi County, we saw that the people rejected an individual. Not that they voted for CDC, because that candidate was not a CDC candidate. He was an independent candidate as well. This is a lot of things. And I want to pivot to Jonathan Dolake, the guru of politics in Liberia. Dolake, when you see something like that, or you hear something like that from Mr. Cummings, and you see the flop in Lo-Fi from the Unity Party, you can already admit that there is a decline in the Unity Party, and this is the Cummings show. But in your own words, hearing the political leader of the ANC, what do you make of it? And just as a political guru, I want you to exert your own opinion in terms of the politics of Liberia, the political dynamics, and how that particular moment have swayed public perception about the Unity Party.
Certainly, Duke, certainly. And quickly, Mr. Cummings delineated between constituency, which is hypocritical. Again, I say constituency, which is hypocritical, or just is the traditional politics, which is merely purposely bent on tribalism, in order to estrange other well-mannered people to contribute their quota to the growth of our country. That is why he zeroed that conversation quickly to the children, the mothers, and to the low-income who are affected every geographic of Liberia. But to be clear with you, when you build an institution like the scenario I gave with California, Democrat, Republican, when you build an institution and that institution is viable, indeed, it will live after the individual. And that is why politics have been driven by individual. Classical, when we were people as CP, and he was leading this effort, we won big play in Lo-Fi County.
Ronnie Sampa, yeah.
Look at the stats of the election results in Lo-Fi 2020 to Dallas. I mean, constituent, you will see how Desmond, this Unity Party. The bottom line here is that we need to build an institution. All facets of our institution have been broken in our country. We need to be institutionally driven. It is unfortunate that our brothers from the Unity Party or from the CPP chose to run away, introduce sort of orthodox, undemocratic tendencies just to get out of the process. But the feedback from Lo-Fi say it's quite clear that we have to chart the course as an opposition. And I don't like to mention the word or the name custard, and when we get to talk about serious business,
absolutely.
People who are selfish in their motive, who are disconnected with the real essence of what we're fighting for. I mean, people who are bent on filling their pockets and using the our people, those are the characters that I think we should elevate on this kind of platform. I like to grab it in
Absolutely.
the Cummings way so that
you're right. You're right. We're not going to call the names so we know who they are.
Institution-oriented area.
Absolutely. But however, let me spin to Peter, and I'll come to Gabriel there. Peter, you heard that clip. You talk about the base narrative. How much, right, of an impact that criminals supporting the Unity Party had on the loss in Lofa County?
Well, again, that's UP's issue. Let them put whomever they want. Let them put the CASA as the face of their party. I think we spoke to that last week when we talked about there are a lot of people in the UP party that UP could have used as the poster child of what they're supposed to stand for. And they chose not to do that. When I say they, I'm talking about Joseph Boycott, who wants to run our household called Liberia. And while our people are suffering, our brothers and sisters are hurting, suffering, have no future. We're competing with the neighbors next door, and our house is broken down. There's starvation, there's sickness, and meanwhile, you're going after people who have no integrity, people who have nothing in their mind says, let's help other people. It's all about themselves. You want to go after selfish people because you think they're going to help you get elected. I really want to talk about how Cummings talked about building institutions, not individuals.
Absolutely.
That's how politics works everywhere, people. It's either about ideology or it's about institution. Either way, it's a brand. When you say Democratic Party, people know precisely what you're talking about. When you say conservatism, people know exactly what you're talking about. When you say progressivism, people know exactly what you're talking about. When you hear these folks on here who come in and say, oh, they may not even win their own county. These people don't even read. They don't know anything about politics, right? We live in an emergent democracy. When you think everything is based around who won their county and who didn't win their county, instead of saying, what's this man's economic ideology or worldview, right? What's his social worldview? How is this going to help my family in Liberia, in Monrovia? How is this going to create jobs? You don't know what you're talking about. Your interest is not to help lift up Liberians. Your interest is to help protect this relic of a political party called UP or whomever, CDC. You're more attached to that than you're attached to helping Liberians. Nobody have no time for you. Nobody's stupid here. Those days are over. In the United States, I wanted to make this point in the last segment. In the United States, the reason why Cummings is going to meet with world leaders, let me educate these people on how it works. In corporate world, in academia, for you to move up, it's not necessarily what you know, but who knows you, who you know, right? So, and that's the saying. Anyone who's trying to move up in this world knows that. So the reason we look up to this man, because we know he understands the formula, how to bring jobs to our country, because this is how you do it, right? What jobs is Joseph Boycott? Who knows him? What jobs is he going to create? Let him. Every time Cummings, and this obsesses me. Every time Cummings go on the shows like Sekou Kane show, Spoon TV, and you got these airheads just talking just in generalities, right? These people don't even. When was the last time you heard them argue about ideology versus ideology? When was the last time you had Joseph Boycott on the show and just ask him open-ended questions, right? You're trying to hold this man to a standard that's not even realistic. And he's there showing up to your show and answering questions, and you're not even asking real questions. Oh, but you're not where your base? His base is Liberia, his base is education, his base is people, his base is all the people who are hurting. That's not how politics works. Politics works in series and phases. The phase of identity politics that has to do with tribalism is over, people. Over. Right? We're going to move forward. We're going to move our country forward.
Some of them won't catch up on what he just said, anyways.
Yeah, it's all good.
Or in the Liberian way, we can say it's oven, okay?
It's oven. It's oven. We're going to move our country forward. We're going to help our people. He does need to meet with the world leaders, okay? The leaders that will help bring their companies here. The leaders that will help bring the renewable energy. Those people have to know you individually. They have to say, I trust this person before you make a phone call and say, help me. Okay. That's why he's got to meet with them. And he is desperate.
Absolutely.
He's desperate to help our people, just like we all should be.
Listen, Pete, that's a fiery point. I like that. I'll go to Gabriel, but before I do, Gabriel, let's move into the meat and bone. Something important was discussed today, and I like for us to expand as we talked about, because we think that's a key point, right? And and I'm going to play this clip, and then we'll come back to discussing that particular aspect.
Okay.
That the government would be recasting the budget very shortly. Here's my question to you, Mr. Cummings. Considering the economy of our country, what are some indicators that made you make this prediction? And what would you do when elected as president to avert such situation of maybe recasting budget over and over and allocating monies here and there and so forth that the Liberian people are not benefiting from? What do you say?
Yeah, look, the reason why it was easy to predict that they recast the budget, Steve, and they would do it again, by the way, is they have a history of doing that. You know, I always say, Sekou, Steve, tell me, the best predictor of future behavior, future performance is past behavior, past performance. This is not the first time they've recast. They have a history of doing this. Normally they recast it downwards. This time they recasted it upwards. But they will recast it again. And it's all because of their behaviors, their incompetence.
Listening, incompetence, ineptitude, budget recast. Listening, Gabriel, before you come in, you've got to admit the practicality, the experience in terms of a corporate exec took that platform on that particular issue. He was practical. He was very in tune with the information. He carefully, crafted his words, and he went specifically right in terms of why, right? What led to his prediction of a budget recast. Now, on an educated end, all of us who know what a recast is, but I want you to simplify it and just tell the audience and our people in Liberia, what are the dangers attached to recast? And usually, what are those signs, right? What are those things it tells you about a government, right? I know Mr. Cummings said it, but I want you to simplify it.
Yeah, no, thank you. That is I wish we could actually do an entire show on this, but I will try to give an abstract version of what he was, actually saying, right? So anytime you see any government recast the budget, that means they have been indisciplined with the previous budget that they have set before, right? That means, hey, I've planned to spend $10 this entire year. Guess what? I ended up spending $15 already. So guess what? I have to now go back and look at how I plan my budget and take money from different places to make up for that $15 that I already spent. So recasting budget, meaning that there is lack of discipline, right? They have overspent. So they now have to go back to now reallocate resources, So let's say if they have allocated $10 million for certain project that was, let's say, perfect example, let's say social benefits, right? Because that is something that has to get paid in the future, and we actually need this money right now. During that reallocation process, they will go take that money and allocate it to things that needs immediate attention. That is simply the essence of what reallocation, recasting the budget is. We've been so indisciplined that we have to recast, take money, even to the point, if you look at the recast budget, I was just looking at it before we came on the show. Part of that, right, consists of $15 million from the World Bank. We've already borrowed $15 million from the World Bank just to make to make up for the $41 million in addition to the $785 million that we actually allocated for, right? We initially had a budget for $785 million, but the recast budget put it to, I think, $806 million.
So there was an increment, and to make up for that increment, they had to borrow money.
Right? Okay. And they pulled some from different places, but 15 million of that was actually borrowed from the World Bank, right? What does that do? This is something I always refer to people to, right? And we're heading down a dangerous path. So I know sometimes we always talk about the budget, but I think what people fail to look at, Duke, Jonathan, and Pete, is that the entire balance sheet of the country. What do I mean by the balance sheet? The balance sheet, I mean not just the budget itself, but the debt, our debt load, right?
Liabilities, yeah.
If you guys been following Ghana, Ghana is currently at a 80% debt to GDP. I know, Jonathan, you probably been following. That's why you're shaking your head, right? That 80% debt to GDP, the government came in and said they were never going to go back to IMF to borrow money, but because of where they are right now, we call it being highly leveraged, right?
Yeah.
They have to go back there. They have to take back their words and go back there and get restructured. Do you know where we're at with debt to GDP right now? Last year, we were at 50%, 53%. Currently, do you know where we are? 60%.
Wow.
60%. So let me put that in context. Let me break it down simply. What it means. Our GDP right now, it's $3.3 billion. So that means every goods and services we produce in the country in an entire year period is $3.3 billion. We owe $2 billion. So that's 60%. So that means for every dollar we produce in our country in a year, we owe 60 cents. For every dollar we produce, we owe 60 cents. That we're only taking 40 cents for every dollar we produce in our country. That's how dangerous this thing is. This is why when Mr. Cummings said, hey, guess what? They're going to recast the budget again. I absolutely agree with him. They're going to recast the budget again. Because what the country is currently doing right now, they are borrowing money to spend money, right? One of the things the phrase that Mr. Cummings used is good debt and bad debt, and good also debt, productive assets, right? I will say that and then I'll land, right? Debt is not a bad thing. Debt is never a bad thing. We see companies, countries that borrow money, right? Company as well, and they use that money to invest for company, what we call research and development, R&D, right? That means they're looking to, make money on those investments, either over 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. Countries do the same thing too on infrastructure that will pay off for either the citizenry, right? In our case, we haven't been doing that, right? So one of the things that Mr. Cummings said is productive asset. So borrowing that money is not a bad thing, but being able to invest it in key infrastructure, key investments that will produce assets, and those assets will end up producing tax revenue, which will in essence expand the country's revenue base. That's what is lacking in here. That level of discipline is lacking within this government, and this is why when he said we're going to see this budget recast, I absolutely agree with him, and we're going to see this. Pay attention. In addition to paying attention to the budget, the recast budget, I urge Liberian people, pay attention to the entire country balance sheet. The government puts out a debt management report every 3 months, right, on their website. Go take a look at it every 3 months. I think it's about 34 pages long. Go take a look at it, right? And this is why we need to save this country. When I mean save this country, I will go back to this passiveness of the people that we are. If we were in any other country like Sri Lanka, right, the citizen would have gone. They've gone up, exactly. They would have gone up and taken over the country already. Yeah. Any country, but we're so passive that these things, somebody will come out, will bring it on the shows, and we'll just make noise about it on social media here and talk. But in period of 2 months or 3 months, it fades away. Everybody go back to their normal. We'll become so accustomed, we'll become so passive. This is why when Mr. Cummings talks about, I want to come in and focus on the presidency, people find that like being too aggressive. He's being too, greedy, right? Because we never set ourselves on goals and go for it, right? But going back to this budget thing, please, I urge you guys, and this is why we have to keep doing what we're doing here, because we can't do protests anymore. The only way we got to do it is at the ballot box, and to get the change that we need at the ballot box is to have a citizenry that understand why their lives is being impacted the way it is, so they can make the right decision comes 2023. Thank you.
Brilliant point. Listening on Unapologetic, we have resourceful people. We're panelists, a group of people that discuss the issue. We make sure we're doing our research and we're bringing the fact. That was a brilliant analysis by Gabriel, and he's right. And in personal finance, we said on the budget sheet, asset minus liability equals your net worth. What is Liberia's net worth? You're sinking in debt. He just said it. For every dollar you earn, you have to kick off 60 cents in paying back people. So if you're left with about 40 cents, right? Tell me, what can it do to be able to cover costs? This is why now you need to stop blaming people and saying that they're going to bring sanctions on the country. The country is struggling because we have an irresponsible government that keeps driving the country in debt. They're not producing, no money's coming in. When you're taking debt, responsible debt comes with, right, earning income. Everything you pour in from borrowing, there has to be income, right, that suffice. If not, more than that. In America or in any responsible country, that's what they tell you about your debt, right, to income ratio, right? Those things, because they want to see that how much liquidity, how much money that you have, right? That you're not in a point where you have more debt than the asset, meaning what you own, right? That are valuable. So this is a key component of it and something we need to pay attention to. When they're talking about budget recast, when Mr. Cummings is coming and restating when he's predicting this, it comes from experience. He knows what he's saying. He's been at the top of the upper level of finance. And when he predicts these things, not because you're pulling something out of a magical hat, it's because they're practical and understand the same way Gabriel will break this thing down, the same way that I will understand it, because you see that you're working on a tin line here. So grilling analysis here by Gabriel, and then we will go, quickly to Peter. But before I go to Peter in that point, let me come to Dolake. Jonathan, this budget thing was a sticking issue when you're in Liberia. You have had experience working, in both House of Representatives, Senate, the legislative body before. You've had some kind of, interaction there before. Outside of that, what do you think that, that's really a matter of essence, importance, that the Liberian people, after what Gibber said, after what we've seen in terms of, the misappropriation of monies and funds and everything, what do you think that the ordinary Liberians need to pay attention to when it comes to these things that we've actually stated?
And so, thank you, Gabriel. Thank you for laying it out quite well, partially too. So, whenever we speak about recast budget, like Gabriel rightfully placed it, it's a matter of readjusting what we started spending. So we're looking at what we initiated. But there are a couple of things online recast, because it's the entire budget that you are not looking at it in piecemeal. So when you have passed the budget, approved the budget, started executing the budget, and you have to relook the budget adjustment based on your spending range and the revenue. You take the legislative budget from the both House or Senate. You have few instruments that should be carefully looked at regularly. That this government, this kleptocratic government, irresponsible government, this government that has absolutely no priority, had not the period of time, is to look at the quarterly report of the spending agency, to look at institutions that have been spending. Every 3 months, you should make a report to the National Legislature about where the projects that you have undertaking, where the blueprint, how far it has been executed, how the procurement process has gone on. I mean, you have to give a complete financial about these things that are happening over a period of time. With this report, which will be on one hand, and what gives us stress concerning the issue of our debt portfolio, at another hand, it will give you a reasonable knowledge as to what would be your priorities. But as I said, there is no single senator or representative that has a quarterly report about the performance of our government. No lawmaker has a quarterly report about the performance of our government. So we do not know where the people will stand in terms of expenditure. We do not know where the agriculture ministry has expenditure. So we are in complete limbo. Then to the debt. The government is paying more debt now as it stands, which suggests clearly that those debt they are paying, they're going to have kickback for those debt they're going to pay. One, actually, they transact debt payment. The source document of debt payment and speaking accounting. They use the instrument that they use to pass whether it is debit or credit for debt instrument should be the debt portfolio that should be listed of what an institution did for our country, the value of specific money. That instrument can only be found in some toy and George Weah pockets, Bagay pockets. So when you have a country that the key instrument should evaluate, we should pay millions and millions of vendors who believe to have worked for us. It's scary, especially with moving the election. So all these conditions are confidence in our economic in the system, and why we are having a recast budget of $806.5 million US, and bulk of it is just focused not on programs, but purposely on paying salaries and buying vehicles, having gas slaves, and you cannot see any major agriculture farm, even as Ukraine is being bombed by the Russian troops. They are still harvesting wheat. Can you imagine? They are going to a catastrophic condition. They are still harvesting wheat, unlike Liberia that came on a poor agenda that do not want us to question their agenda, but can I even find what was played? I mean, I just watched it down. Can I even boast of winning a game? So that's the kind of level.
The brilliant analysis from the both of you, and to close up on this here, and then we go into a general points here. Pete and Gabriel and Dolake. Mr. Cummings talked about the ineptitude, right? The kind of poor leadership that we see, and connected it to what we're experiencing in the budget recast. And every time, somebody of that magnitude calls the president and his leadership style as a deadbeat leadership style, something that's actually troubling for the country. Some people go ahead and say, "Oh, they like the man; they don't want a man to succeed." But no, it's not about liking a man. It's about the dangers, as we've stated, right? Per his actions and some of the things that they've done to exploit the Liberian people. We're gonna go a little further into this thing here. When Mr. Cummings said that, why we're having a budget recast is because of poor leadership. It's because that they don't understand what they're doing. And he can predict that because he understands that based upon the pattern and the behaviors, this is what exactly is going to happen. I want to play this and then I will come back to Peter shortly listening.
So I have spoken to some very specifics on things I believe were either misallocated or allocated the wrong way. For example, 7.3 million, at least in the original budget, not sure about the recast, was allocated to agriculture. 10 million was allocated to executive protection. Something we've pointed out, I've pointed out that complete misallocation of resources. We also talk about the fact that between the presidency, vice presidency, speaker, pro tem, more money is allocated to them to spend at their discretion than was being allocated to education.
Listening, 7 million for agriculture, 10 plus million for security guards for the president, salaries of government official, the president, the speaker of the house, and all of those people that were in the top hierarchy or the hierarchy of the current leadership. Misappropriation. When we talk about, a piss poor leadership, piss poor governance, and why we're having economic issues,
right after this,
why we're having economic issues here. I want you, Peter, to jump into that because this is really important. And then I will come quickly to Gabriel and we'll move into the general phase of our conversation. So, Peter, here is it: 7 million agriculture, 10 million for protecting the president, and the bulk of a larger quantity of the budget going towards payroll. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm going to start again at a different place. What budget? What are you talking about? Budget? You just heard Gabriel, right? 60% of every dollar has to go to debt. 60%. That means you have 40%. Now, I'm not the math genius. 40%. Of that 40%, 90% of it is recurring expenditures. They pay salaries, they do whatever they need to do to run the country. 90% of the 40% is recurring expenditure, right? In a country who's generating around $500 million a year. How much money? So here's how I want to start answering that question. Imagine we all live in a house, and we all do call Liberia, right? And watching the neighbors, that's the Ghanas, the Sierra Leones, their house, their lawn looks good, their kids going to school, they got a new car. We're in the house. Meanwhile, our big brother, they take the money and we have our cousins we have little cousins in the house who are sick. And we need money for that, for the kids to go to the hospital. We're not using the money for that. The big brother in the house go take the money, go buy a car, go buy his girlfriend shoes, and he's there. Just him and his friend in front of the house, taking all the money that we're supposed to use for nobody go to school in the house. We barely got rice in the house. We eat one time a day, right? But the men, they're eating 10 times a day, wasting the food, right? It's not his money. It's all our house that our parents left us. But because he's a big brother, he's taking all the money, and then he giving you $2 of the money. No one going to school. Nobody's buying clothes. We don't even have money to buy toothpaste, to buy soap. We got money for nothing. We ain't got money for red oil, right? But the man over there just wasting the money on other things, right? Who's going to be okay with that? Who? Me and one person talking about CDC today. Will you want to live in that house? Well, that house is Liberia. That's a real house. And it's happening right now. Okay? Of all the money that we're supposed to have, they take the money and wasting it on nonsense. That's what appropriation of funds mean. Okay, when we say recast, they give us the little money that come in. They say, before the money comes in, say, okay, nobody fuss. We're gonna use the money. We're gonna buy food for the house. We're gonna buy soap. We're gonna buy vacuum cleaner. We're gonna buy a broom for the house. We're gonna clean the house, and we're gonna do all this stuff. As soon as before the money get there, say, we change our mind. We're only gonna get one toothpaste and one cup of rice. They'll be like, wait, we're supposed to get a bag of rice. What happened? We recast it. We recast the budget. Meanwhile, they go take the money, go to the club with it. This is what's really happening in our country, right? It's not a joke. This is what's happening to our people. And this man is sitting there, and we're supposed to be okay with it because one time he went outside the house, he played football, and everyone's like, oh, look at him from that house. That make him play football. Who gives a damn about that? Right? We don't care about that, Duke. There's no budget here. Right? These people are not using the money to help our people like it should. And it's not okay. We're looking at neighbors, we see their houses. They live in the same neighborhood as us. Okay? But because their big brothers not being greedy with the money and being selfish and having this power, like I can do whatever I want, being bullies, they're flourishing, but we are not. Okay? So this is a major problem. So I don't even know about this budget thing we're talking about. Okay, 60% money, 40% is only what we're getting. Of that 40%, 90% is going for recurring expenditure. When are we going to build schools? When are we going to build roads? We keep borrowing money, keep borrowing money. When are we going to build the hospitals? When's that going to happen? When are we going to start paying back all the money we borrowed to begin with? What are we talking about budget here? I don't care about the line items in those budgets. There's no real budget.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
brilliant.
Pete. And let me look, brilliant analysis. Hands down, Unapologetics got the most competent, group of, a panelists. And I say this not because it is our show, but it's the fact. We take our time, we discuss the issue, and we're very, very refined in laying out the facts. He said it: misappropriation of funds, the mismanaged money.
Nice.
Brilliantly. I don't need to add more. But I want to pivot to you, and then we'll go into our general points. It's the weekend. We know everybody got their obligations with something there. Gabriel, I want to go back, to you. From a financial standpoint, this business. You see that in personal finance, in little man sense, you don't have much of an income, but
Right.
then you're buying a luxury car that costs 3 times your income, right?
Mhm.
And then you find out that you've actually exhausted all the money that's coming in, and yet you are sitting right now in the plethora of issue. Liberia is a troubled nation. We
Mhm.
recently returned, well, we returned from a civil war, but since Liberia, you know, had the civil war and then went into that form of governance and democracy and what have you, there hasn't been anything to tell us that we have actually done enough to fix some of the economic issues, and they seem to be lingering. We're far in debt. The current government actually worsened things for us.
Mhm.
We're at the point now wherein we're discussing, we're in budget and all that stuff. There's no revenue coming in.
Mhm.
Just tell us misappropriation, allocating money into protecting the president, agriculture, no vision, anything. Where's the danger here, Gabriel? Where are we heading? And what?
First,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. So first, I would say I think Mr. Cummings did point that out. Is you know you know I think you just alluded to that misappropriation. So we don't technically, what that means is we do not, as a nation, we don't understand our priorities, right?
Yeah.
If the reason why I say that, if we're spending $7.2 million on agriculture, but yet spending $10 million on executive protection, that tells you a bulk of what you need to understand of how we prioritize. Another piece that I would want to make, right? To that tells you we cannot even feed ourselves. Another piece that I would like to add to it, and I think I kind of missed it when I spoke earlier. So if you look at the recast budget, and you guys can keep me honest if I'm wrong, but I think it's either 10 million or 11 million was allocated to subsidize rice, right? Now, when I saw that, I actually kind of cringed a little bit, right? The reason why I kind of cringed a little bit is because the same mistake that we made in the 80s, we're going right back to it, Duke.
Yeah.
When I say the same mistake, and I know for those that were, around when that happened, they would say, part of that was driven by politics, but no, part of what happened in the 80s, the rice riot, was
Mhm.
driven by basic lack of understanding of simple economics. What
Yeah.
do I mean by that? When the then Minister of Agriculture decided to subsidize rice, local rice, and the foreign people pulled their rice off the market, that was the fuel that you needed that was added to that fire, right? And we're about to make the same mistake here. We're about to take $10 million. That's if they do it. If they do it, they're about to take $10 million and say they're going to subsidize rice. You subsidize right, depending on how you do it, you could cause the same problem. Those foreigners could go on the market. They do that all the time. They could take their rice off the market. We don't have rice production. The rice we produce in our country can feed us. If they do within a matter of days, you will start hearing that, and it will start causing problem again. And we as Liberian people, that's our staple. We don't play about our rice. So
Yeah.
when I saw that $11 million rice subsidies on the budget, I kind of quench. I said, I hope they do this right this time. I hope they give it to the farmers to plant rice instead of saying they want to go to the foreigners to put embargo on their rice, and which will cause them to take that rice off the market. I just wanted to drop that note. But I think that to answer your question before I yield,
Yeah.
the whole $10 million on executive protection, it just tells you where we are as a country. You know, if you're in a country where you're not doing right by the citizen and you live in a glass house, you would need all the protection you need, right? You would even want to build Fort Knox around your place, because you're not doing it right by the citizen, and it's only a matter of time before they come knocking on your door or start throwing stones at your glass house. So you would need all the protection. That within itself is a national security, you know, because I sometimes I keep going back to this. Sometimes I hope, like I really hope we as Liberians were very aggressive about our needs and what we want, and no government will come and take advantage of it. We will demand what we want from them, and we will get what we want from them. But because we're not, this is why all of this can happen. They can give you $7.2 million sit outs, go for agriculture, but I take $10 million and protect myself in a Fort Knox security all around me everywhere I go. Is the problem, is the fundamental problem of our existence right now. And I I I hope what we're doing here, this message, gets to the people in the villages, our grandmothers, our
They're
uncles, our
listening in Bond
uncles, the
County.
aunts,
They're
right?
listening in Grand Crew County. We're on
Right,
Sky 107, so you can listen to this information. It's not just on
right,
Facebook. Or this thing is being fed to you on radio in Liberia. So these are quality messages. Go ahead, Gabriel.
right. And I hope it gets to them, because at this end, at the where we are fundamentally, this is the only way we can change mind and make sure that we allow people to make the right decision. They correct themselves this time at the ballot box come 2023. I hope that. Thank you.
Duke.
Absolutely.
Now, quickly,
And
Duke, I need to quickly
yeah.
jump in. This is
Yeah.
gonna be quick. I'm sorry to break
All
it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. All
So
right. So if you
Quickly,
got to 1
and,
minute
and
each, that's
Gabe
fine.
and
Quickly.
Gabe's
Yeah.
go ahead, though.
very
Yeah.
excellent point. Yeah, quickly. Gabe stressed a very great point. I mean, I don't hold the president responsible because he initiated it. Because I already have zeroed on our ability to govern. This president started 2018-19 by providing instead of rehabilitating, provided cash, provided money to Zogos. I mean, the underprivileged youth, instead of rehabilitating the underprivileged youth, which now
Well, they provided drugs during
created
election time.
problems for our market women, old ladies who are on drugs, instead of refining their mind, instead of giving it years so that they can become developed and their parents will be happy for them. What the president did initially is to provide cash so that the old man and the old part that are coming from the markets or from the farm, these guys will go and hijack them on the motorbike. This president gets CCTV. When the old man in Douala and or Omega market cannot afford LEC, and the LEC is not stable, this president is giving executive protection. The people that will protect he and his chronics, 10 million to protect themselves, than to protect the old ladies who will be trying to care, to come after the hard day struggle in the markets when the rain have and wet them up. This president is keeping our people vulnerable instead of getting the immigration, instead of getting the police, instead of looking at the military, instead of looking, because look, security is in the mind. When the people the value for the country, indeed, they themselves will serve as security. That's the piece I want to throw in.
Thank you, Dolake. Great point. And Peter, go ahead. 1 minute,
But
please.
Ted, so great point, and that's why I quickly wanted to touch on. But you touched on that first point, right? Imagine that. I wanted to make this point land. Imagine that, right? This president has taken more money to protect himself and his wife, right? Than he's taking to feed our people. $4 million more to protect himself. Meanwhile, that's what you just said, though, kid. And I wanted to touch that. It's so crazy that you touched that. He's telling the citizens who are getting raped, the women who just worked all day, they're tired, they're going home, they're getting robbed by these Zogos. Get CCTV, like the CCTV going to follow them down the street. Where are they going to get the money for CCTV from? Meanwhile, he can't get CCTV for himself, though. He's taking $11 million to feed the whole country, 7. To protect just him and his family, 11 million. Think about how selfish this person has to be, right? For him to do that. Okay. And the budget, him and the executive, the people working with him, 90% of that money going to them. Like protect them. right? Meanwhile, people are suffering. This is the point I wanted to make, right? How selfish. This man thinks that this being a president has been a king. You just got to utter words and it happens. And if you don't agree with him, you die. And if you agree with him, you're happy. And it's our families. It's not some abstract foreigner, some alien from space who are suffering. It's our people. $11 million to protect just him. $7 million to feed the whole 5 million people in Liberia. How selfish are you? I just wanted to learn on that point. I'm so glad Bill kept out to touch that.
And listen, those are all salient points, and and that's why we continue to have this conversation. Like Gabriel said rightfully, I hope people are listening, they're learning from these things, and the amount of education, the information, the practicality, and the time listening. We just don't get on these platforms to talk. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of work that goes in the background, researching the information and coming up from to educate our people. So it is really important that we're driving this message. And some of you were listening to these things. You call us on the side, you tell us that you really appreciate it. We're speaking, listening. Use these things with your family and educate them. Educate them, because all of us together can do that. Guys, before we go into the final points, I want to say, I want to go back to each and every one of you just quickly. So now that we've covered this, let's look at Mr. Cummings. What do you make of his appearance today? What is that one thing that you saw in terms of his responses, the energy, and that you can actually tell us that you was impressed? I mean, you guys were impressed with today when you saw him on that platform. Let me start with my brother Gabriel.
Yeah, dude. Thank you again. I think for me was his his overview of understand. I think that was a question that they asked him, and I touched on this a little bit earlier about the debt, right? It was Telvin who asked him about the budget. I think she actually did misquote him, right? About that the ANC is supposed to present its version of the budget, right? And that wasn't the discussion. And the way he actually responded to that, right? And also when I think there was another part of the conversation where he talks about the debt, and I think I touched on this earlier, right? Where he talked about bad debt versus good debt. That debt isn't bad, that it just the matter of how you leverage your debt, how you use your debt, to use the debt to invest in productive assets, to allow the productive assets. I think for them, it was a teaching moment, right? It was a teaching moment to allow them to understand that, hey, I can talk about the politics, but guess what? I come from this world, right? I also understand finance from its fundamental level to the higher level. And I can take you to the higher level and I can bring you right down to the fundamental level and break it down for you and allow you to understand it, right? For me, when I was listening to that, I think that's when I just said, man, that tells me that he is very well-rounded, that he cannot just come here and talk about politics, but he can bring you into his own world and take you to the higher level and take you step down and walk you step down to the basic fundamental level to allow you to understand what he's talking about. That for me, I think that was something that I was enjoying out there, when I was following the discussion. Yeah.
That's a great point, Gabriel. Peter, quickly from you, when you saw the interview today, you saw Mr. Cummings. What is that thing that you saw, that you became impressed by when it comes to Mr. Cummings' response on that platform?
So yeah, I'm not sure this closing, but I really wanted to go to it. So thanks for this opportunity. Mr. Cummings talked about harmonizing of the salaries. Again, the reason I speak like I do, all of us speak like we do, is because we have empathy, right? We were those kids. We were them before we got here. Just like similar to the budget, what George Weah and his people are saying, and Samuel Square and the people around him are saying. When you just look at the term harmonization, okay? The term harmonization means to bring in accordance with, to make agreeable. Okay, that's what harmonization is, right? So what this man and his people did was they looked at the money that each person was getting paid, and it says, we're going to make it agreeable to what should be paid to you in Liberia. So what did they do? they cut the regular Liberian civil servants' pay. They cut it. They call it harmonizing. That term, they should be ashamed of that term. So they thought, we're going to harmonize, bring your pay down to where it should be. But guess what? Who paid it never harmonized? Their pay. Their own pay. George Weir, good job, buddy. Their own pay didn't get harmonized. So harmonizations only go for the police officers, the people working in small offices. They get harmonized, right? And the term harmonization is what I'm hitting on. The fact that they use that term harmonization, that means bringing in harmony to what everybody else is making. How come you didn't harmonize your pay? These people are so. It's disgusting. Seriously. So Cummings talked about that today, the harmonization of salary. This is why I speak now. This is beyond disgusting. This is such bullying on a level that is like, this is how the Civil War happened. You're gonna harmonize people who are making nothing, but you making $50,000 a month. You're not harmonizing that. People in the legislatures, you're not harmonizing that. So when he touched on that, to me, it spoke to a man who has empathy. The more you learn about this man, the more you identify with people who care about people, this is how to speak. Last thing, Duke.
You'll come to the final point. We'll come to a final point for you.
Go ahead.
Real quick. This was just one thing, and then the last one we'll close
Yes,
up
sir.
on that. Dolika, quickly, that one thing you saw in Mr. Cummings today that you believe that actually stood out on that show today.
Yeah, that one thing is the traditional politics, is the fact that the conspiracy theory that Mr. Cummings had tried to meet world leader is intended to blackmail our country, to bring sanctions in our country, to lobby for sanctions, when not the way the Western government work. I mean, they work completely different. They see for themselves. I mean, some of our friends here who are seeking asylum, you know the story. They follow their track record, whether they're lying or they're saying the truth. They make the determination, their eyes open. You have Washington right in Monrovia, in Mama Point, so they can see the ambassador playing basketball. He can condemn the government whenever the government goes wrong. And so you cannot shift it on Mr. Cummings, but he did it quite well. He used the opportunity. Mr. Cummings used that opportunity to people how a leader should govern. You should get yourself prepared. Who are your friends? Who will you learn your priorities? Are you going to learn your priorities that Mr. Weir, who then try to make investment in give drug harm instead of providing drugs? Or will you be thinking about providing rehabilitation homes for the Zoko? More than that, the way Mr. Cummings gesticulate on the issue that affect the country shows that he has absolute. It's not a education person, George Weir. And we do not because we think that he's educated. For you to express something, you must know it. You need to have authority over it. So since he has authority over governance, for the time he has been like politics, he navigates very freely, smooth to show you how things work out. So all these levels we Liberians, we have to look in that direction. Over the years, like you would say, the best predator of present performance is past behavior. So we got to look at his behavior pattern. He has all this. I mean, I checked the man last year in before you come.
Yeah,
I checked his record just recently. A more proper video that a brilliant Kwame Clement was asking him, and everything he spoke some 7 years, 8 years back, 9 years, 10 years, just what Mr. Cummings keep re-emphasizing. So all we are challenged in our people in the hinterland, our country who less off. The only thing that we challenge right now that the routine of both conspiracy theory, people, Lala story. Put on Lala together plenty. When you get for the men nowhere now, they say put on a team together. Let me up there. Oh, we are not seeing. They're equal. That's the Colombo.
Thank you, guys. That's a valid point, and we want this is going to be replayed on Sky 107. We're on there. Will be played on Sky FM TV as well. And we'll continue these conversations there, gentlemen. Let's take 1 minute quickly and just close up. Peter, I will just give you a minute to close up, please.
Again, Duke, thanks for the show. Very, very important conversation that we're having. And Doka hit on something I want to start with my closing with.
Yeah,
he said, if you can't defeat the man, you make up a lot of stories. That's what's happening here, right? Two things. You make up stories for the people who support him. Imagine these people, right? Us that live in zinc houses, in mat houses, me, my family's still there, right? You live there for a little bit because you left the country. You're able to pursue education and career. So now they start saying things about you, just making up lies about you. So his supporters now. Imagine all these people who leave Liberia and saw something different. All these people who love their family. All of a sudden you start saying, "Oh, those people are not real Liberian. Those people over there." This is the only way. This is the only way to have any traction by just destroying people's character. That's not okay. Okay, you make up lies about a person who does not need Liberia's money. Right? He says, "I'm going to take the money and put it to integrated institutions." Us who've been in integrated institutions our whole lives, we know what a leader looks like. We are not desperate. We don't need these people to hand us any money, and because of that. Right, they look to castigate us to our people because of proximity. They're closer to them. So you get the Darius Dillons of the world. They lie for a living. They lie on the sun. They will lie on anything, and they would look to destroy or look to prevent a man like that or people from serving their country who are not like them. So they'll want to rip you down. I'm so glad this man has stood up like he has. We're going to be so grateful if he's ever given the opportunity to lead our country. And I told you so is coming because he could have easily walked away. He did not. He could have easily walked away. So I don't need this. I have millions. I could go and live in Palm Spring, Florida. You know where George Weah had to live or wanted to live, and he had to foreclose on his homes because he don't remember you have to keep making money. He could live there forever until he passes away. His family can live there because of the type of money he has. But he didn't. He has not abdicated that responsibility. I wanted to close by saying, if he's not able to do that, if he's not walking away, you people of support of ANC, you better not walk away. You better not blink. You better be in this fight with him. You better march with him. You better push with him because you're not being called a homosexual to people lying on you. You're not being called someone who's a criminal and committing forgery. When you have friends who are in the corporate world and they're watching these people, you just want to help troy you. You're not even going through that. The least you can do is be vocally and very supportive. Call our family members back home. Go home, canvas, do whatever you can. He's not quitting. We're not going to quit. We have a real leader now. Let's keep supporting him.
Thank you, Pete, and an applause for you on that. And let me go quickly back to Doloket to give his 1 minute, and then I'll go to Gabriel as well. So Doloket, this is your opportunity to close up.
I think it's wrong. Oh, no.
Yeah. Thank you for being on this platform, and I'll always be glad to participate in my thoughts with brilliant people, brilliant like you guys. I've said it all. One last point that Mr. Cummings stressed, not necessarily today, but it's quite important for our country. And those are some of the things we say meant for you, other people, to evaluate who this Mr. Cummings is. His mission. And you all have heard that as we speak, our entire censor, Liberia Institute for Statistics and Geoinformation Services, has gone in red. In the 21st century that he spoke about, the world is driven, development is driven by population density. So those researchers who want to invest in their country want to see what is lacking in each segment of the country so that they know where to pour their resources and have return on the resources, by extension again provide service to the country. So if they don't know the population density of the country, number one is the electoral process, which is very key. Two, it hinders economic growth and development for the country. It's like a parent or a father in the home doesn't know the size of his family. How are you shopping for the family? How can he even predict, the quantity of food that is needed for the home? It is shameful. The law that protect that every 10 years we should count our population density, because there would have been new people who have been born. Some of them voting age, some of them would have died. We will know the balance of how many persons are born in a year town and how many persons die in a year town. That is how this country, bulk of the money, where most of your relatives living, sending bulk of the money, 500 plus million back to Liberia. That is how they are moving ahead. And that is what Mr. Borrowed. All of you in Liberia who appreciate your children being in America and do well, it's from this background that I'm going to learn. So what we are saying to you, open up your mind, accept better from open mind. All we're saying here is base, and you can check the record. So we are on to every conversation. All Mr. Cummings needs and we need is that we need a Liberian. Everyone can express themselves freely. We need a Liberian budget that is driven by opening big funds. We need a Liberian budget that is not just thinking about buying people big cars, because he has seen big cars. He has seen charter flight. He has seen everything best that we need. So it's just the opportunity to give all of us the opportunity to live better. Thank you so much, Duke.
Whoa.
Thank you there, Dola Kid. Listen, man, we have two fiery closing. Gabriel, the onus on you, man.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how I can top that one, Jonathan, man, that was brilliant. There's only a few things I want to talk about, in this closing. And I think for me was, the whole time I was watching the coverage, one thing that I saw was intentional leadership. Also, this whole, I think we've alluded to that already, is that this whole, base conversation that, this base narrative that we've established. And one thing that he said in there without saying is that inclusivity is his base, right? His base is inclusive, right? What do I mean by that? He talked about, how he want to bring in women and youth, right? Because those two group of people cut across cultural boundaries and tribal boundaries, right? So in essence, what he's actually saying is that I'm not subscribing to one county to say this is where my base is, in essence, because by doing that, you put yourself in a tribal in a tribal hole, right? Instead, in essence, what he's saying is that, hey, I am for women and youth, and those two group of people actually do cut across tribal and cultural boundaries, right? The other thing that he talked about, was restoring confidence in the country. Believe it or not, there's something we've always heard, right? If you're in the finance world, you hear it all the time. The green dollar that we carry around is backed by nothing, right? The only thing that guarantees that if I borrow you $1, you're going to pay it back is my confidence in you, right? The moment you start taking that confidence, I said I don't have confidence in Duke paying back that money, I won't be able to give him any more money. It's the same way that that country operates, right? In order for country to operate, you need confidence at its fundamental level, right? People need to have confidence in the government. People need to have confidence in their money. People need to have confidence in the institutions that are within that country. If you don't, that's how things gradually deteriorate, right? And one of the things he talked about is restoring confidence, first of all, right? To establish relationship but at the same time, build new ones. Rekindle the existing relationship and build new ones. So for me, I think those were the three most important things that I took away from that conversation. And again, in essence, I hope this conversation, whether the one that was had on Skype or the one that we're having here and we'll continue to have, every point gets to where it needs to get, because at the end of the day, these people are the decision maker, right? These people are the decision maker. We made a mistake in 2017, just as the greater United States did here, with the election of the Orange Man, right? Well, Liberia is next. We made a mistake, and we are feeling the brunt of those consequences. So I hope we can rectify our mistakes come 2023. And the only way of ensuring that is going to happen is to make sure that we have the right information in front of us, right, to be able to make that decision come 2023. So I hope this message resonate with every Liberian, whether you're here in the diaspora or back in Liberia. So thank you.
3 fiery closing. Gabriel, Peter, Dolakid, who's going to be a regular on the show. I want to say thank you. I think we've actually done our work here today, and it's left with our audience to go ahead and actually share the video after you watch it. Go on to your people. It's going to be aired on radio. If you're on Sky TV, you will be able to see what we've just done. I want to say thank you to our partner, on Sky FM, Sky 107.1. We're going to continue. Then we're at the point wherein there will be some adjustments made per our time and our scheduling as well. We look forward to that. Some of you who have reached out to us about, how can we support, the show, feel free to reach out as well. We welcome everybody on board. I want to leave with this point here quickly.
A lot of the people who are quote unquote saying, you only hear we are Boka names tend to be the Unity Party people or the people who are opposed to me. Okay. Look, we've done our own polling and we keep it confidential, of course, but we know that statement is not true. Do we have work to do to continue to make our case? Absolutely. But the 3 leading candidates today for the presidency in Liberia is Alexander Cummings, Joseph Boakai, and George Weah. So just to debunk that saying or that statement in quotes. The next thing I will say to you and how I answer this question is, I don't plan for failure. I don't plan to come in second. And I will say to all of you, you all are relatively young, at least compared to me, with bright futures ahead of you. When you go into something, before you even start, you start planning for plan B. You will end up with plan C. You will end up third. No, I'm serious. I'm serious in life. True. If you go into a business proposition or you want to start an NGO or you want to run for office, and even before you start, you already see what happens if I don't win. You will not win.
Listen, you plan to win. You don't sit there and beat yourself into thinking that, you know what? I'm starting the curve, but I'm not going to do this, so I'm going to settle. This is a lesson to young people in Liberia and Liberians as a whole. Our goal in life is never to settle. It's to pursue our dreams, to chase our objective, and aggressively pursue it, regardless of what the outcome is. Let it be. But don't ever go into anything in life planning for your next option, because you lose sight of the vision ahead of you. Because when you start conceding, when you start telling yourself you can't, this is where you move from that straight line you're on to go somewhere else. Let me say this. Nothing feels better than doing what people say you cannot do. The story of the ANC is that a lot of people just think that you can't do it. The story of Alexander Cummings, even though he's done everything outside and has been so successful, is that he can't do it. The noise in the market is that, oh, this man here before to say he was the new guy in politics, he can't do it. And every time they have counted him up, he came back. Once upon a time, Dolakeda said that the ANC ain't got no lawmakers. That was the end. Mr. Cummings can't win anything. He took the CPP and won massively. Listen, don't believe in what the naysayers tell you. Believe in you. Continue to inspire yourself and dare to dream. And regardless of what the evil spirits say, look them in the eyes and say, evil spirits, go away. My name is Dukas Ryder JJ. This is Peter. This is Gabriel. This is Jonathan Dolake. This is Unapologetic, wherein we say our truth, unfiltered, uncut. We don't care about certain people and their opinions. We believe in what we say. We'll be here next Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time on radio in Liberia. Get ready to call. We will be on Sky TV, on Sky Radio. Make sure that you're listening and sharing the information. Until next time, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we got to send the demons parking and all the evil spirit. This is your boy, Flex as well. Let's go.
Adios.
Flex, el happy music, Ebola Leo, Shamola Chamo. Holy go fire the demon them, Holy go fire the demon them, amen. Holy go fire the demon them, Holy go fire the demon them, amen. Holy go fire the demon them, Holy go fire the demon them, amen. The thing now your eye can see, now your ear can hear. The thing now your ear can hear, now your eye can see. Someone that just don't want to see your success. Someone that just want to see your downfall. Holy go fire the demon them. Holy fire the demon them. Holy go fire the demon them. Amen. Holy fire the demon them. Holy go fire the demon them. Amen. You see, I just want the best for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dukas Strider JJ. I believe in the greater good of Liberia, equality, and real change. I am definitely a supporter of Liberia's next president, Alexander B. Cummings. I do believe in real change in Liberia. This is a call to all young people across Liberia, Liberians who want to see the country move forward, to join us in our quest for real change. On that note, I'm logging off. Thanks to our partner in studio, SKY107.1. We'll be back on next Saturday and the Saturday after, live on radio in Liberia. So get ready to join us. Until next time, Holy Ghost fire the demon and evil spirit go away. My name is Dukas Ryder JJ, and I am unapologetic.
Holy go fire the demon them. Holy go fire the demon them. Holy go fire the demon them. Amen. Holy go fire the demon them.
All day, Liberia this, Liberia that. Me pa, I will not give up on Liberia. I will keep on talking and fighting hard to make Liberia a better place. I say, Flomo, what happened you talking all by yourself? Pajon, I am tired. I am tired of the people who can be saying Liberia can't change, so they finish giving up on Liberia. Liberia is all of our country, so we must come together and elect the best person to lead Liberia to a better place. So I am encouraging you and every other person to listen to the program Unapologetic on Sky FM 107.1 and Sky TV Channel 6 every first and last Saturday at 2 p.m. Liberian time and 10 a.m. American time. Join Duke and his team of panelists as they find ways to solve Liberia's problem. Thank you, Ya Flomo. I'm on my way. Na.
Oh,